boot fans, welcome on in. Right here in front of me, the boot we're going to be checking out today is the latest from Warrior. This is the Warrior Gambler 2, the second release in the series. It's been modified, upgraded, but it still holds that control characteristic. Before we take a look at these, make sure you subscribe to Suck Cleats 101. There's a link on your screen right now. Always appreciate having you guys signed up and checking out all of our videos. Alright, let's look at these up close. Obviously a lot going on. Before I start talking about these boots, you gotta remember that Warrior love their terminology. So there is there's lots of words I'm going to be using that you might not be familiar with boots. But it's just how Warrior do things. And the first area we are going to talk about is the ace plate, and that's this region along the instep. Again, this is a control boot, and these panels, you can see that there's 4 separate panels right here. They're positioned pretty randomly, but they all serve the same purpose. They're like these little rubber panels with some texture on top. The black region is like the texture, and it's all there to help you control the ball, add a little bit of extra response as the ball comes in and you take it in your instep. It's one of the main features of the boot. Again, we've seen this on like the CDR 360 range. Very different implementation from Warrior. Just on top of that, you'll notice the tech mesh material. Now, on the original Warrior Gambler, there was a lot more tech mesh visible. On this version of the boot, there is a threefold construction, or like 3 different layers of upper. The tech mesh being the second. The first is actually inside the boot. You see this checkered material, and this is actually a control foam layer, and it's there basically to keep your foot nice and comfortable inside the boot. It is a no-stitch inner, so it's very soft inside the boot, and it's going to keep you nice and snug and comfortable. This region has sort of like a suede feel, kind of like a velvety suede, I want to say. It's very unique. Definitely when you put your foot in the boot, it definitely grips the sock, which is nice. And you can also see, as I'll kind of give you a look at the tongue right now, the tongue actually has kind of like a padding inside of it, so it's not just a single layer. It's thin from this view, but it does have this padded region, and again you can see that on the inside where it's separated by different regions. Nice for taking in control on top of the foot. It adds a little bit extra protection. The second region, as I said, the second piece of the upper is this tech mesh, and this tech mesh runs right around the upper underneath what is the top layer, TPU spread. This is like a weightless TPU. It's very thin, and especially just kind of like a stretched TPU that runs right across the upper, and it sits on that tech mesh. And as you can see, as I kind of bring you up close with the boots, that there is that tech mesh underneath. You can see the pattern, and it runs right around the boot. So every region of the boot has this lightweight tech mesh underneath. Obviously, the concern with a mesh material is that it can get a little bit heavier when water comes onto it, like water retention. Not going to be so much of a problem on this version as it was in the original, since there's only smaller regions of tech mesh visible, and the rest is pretty much sealed in with that TPU spread across it. The other region of interest lies along the outer side of the boot, and these are the 4-foot stacks, and they're there for control. What's unique about this boot is the lacing system, and the lacing system comes inside. I want to bring in 2 other boots right now. First of all, just to give you an example of what we're pretty familiar with boots on the market right now, look at it with the Warrior Screamer, and the sister boot of the Gambler, and you'll notice that the lacing system kind of goes to the outside, so it gives a larger strike zone. And what's unusual about the Gambler is the fact that it comes inside, so it gives a larger portion to control the ball in the outstep. So as you're taking in the ball, or as you're dribbling with the ball, you have a wider region right here on the outside to knock the ball. And again, that just runs into this whole control aspect of the boot. There is, if we look at the Magista right now, the Magista also runs pretty similar. But again, the lacing is vastly different, considering the fact that on the Gambler it runs right down, pretty far down, compared to the Magista. So 2 boots that you can compare the system to. What else we got to talk about this boot? The sole plate. Right out of the box, definitely decently flexible. They don't have a great flex from the midfoot, but they do loosen up after a few wears. You've got this crazy stud design. We talked about this before. It is called the Loaded Deck, and it's got 17 blades along the outsole, in, again, very unusual positioning, very sporadic. Hard to know if it performs better than your regular standard conical sole plate. But yeah, it's a pretty standard edition with the Gambler and other boots we've seen Warrior release. That layoff lacing system, by the way, gives this region a lot more usage, as I've said before, but it also is a raised paneled region, so there's definitely some definition to the area right there. This is the Warrior Gambler 2. Before you guys leave, I want you to leave a comment down below, and I'm interested to find out. These boots have been worn by the likes of Marouane Fellaini for Belgium in the World Cup in Brazil this summer. The importance of players and the players that wear the boots. The fact that Marouane Fellaini wore these boots, he didn't have a great World Cup, but does that lead you to want to purchase or get your hands on a pair of boots like this? Or do you prefer to see boots just released and advertised as is? Basically, do players impact your desire for a boot? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and I'll get involved in your conversation. Appreciate any thumbs up that you guys have to offer. Again, this has been the Warrior Gambler 2. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.